welcome back to my channel. This week I'm making some sweet potato gnocchi. I'm starting by pricking my sweet potato with my fork a bunch of times before I go ahead and microwave it for about 5 minutes. Now you can bake your sweet potato, but that's going to take around 40 to 45 minutes to get it nice and squishy just like this. Now since we're going to be using our hands to form the dough, you want to make sure you let your sweet potato cool. And I find for every cup of sweet potato you need about a half cup of flour and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're going to then take our sweet potato once it's cooled down and move it onto a clean work surface, and then slowly incorporate our flour. The measurements that I've provided are what I find to be the most accurate for how much flour to sweet potato that you need. But since each sweet potato is a different size and sometimes can be a little bit of a different consistency, you want to just make sure you incorporate the flour slowly so that way you can tell when the sweet potato is no longer sticky and see if you need more or less flour. The goal is just to be able to form it into a ball with your hands. And then once you get to that point, you can go ahead and flour your work surface. And then you're going to start rolling your sweet potato out into a log. I'm just starting with my hands in the middle and then moving them slowly out to the sides. And then once you get your log nice and thin, you are going to go ahead and cut your sweet potato. So you're going to cut it into about 1-inch pieces. You want the pieces to be fairly even so that way cooking time is the same. And then I just separated mine because sometimes they can stick together. And I'm going to show you a few different ways to get those ridges on your sweet potato gnocchi. The first is with an gnocchi board. So I'm just moving it slowly down the board. Because this is a softer dough, I can't apply as much pressure as a traditional gnocchi, but if you do it nice and gentle, you can still get the ridges like you see there. Or if you don't have an gnocchi board, you can use the back of a fork and just do the same type of method. As you can see, because the dough is soft, the shape kind of flattens a little bit, and I'll just push my fingers on either side to get the shape back together. Or if that's too hard, you can just press down with the fork. And the point of these ridges is to help the sauce adhere to the gnocchi, but if you don't want to do that, all you have to do is make sure that you boil your gnocchi in a pot of salted water. Now, while that is boiling away, we are going to go ahead and start with the sauce. So we're making a sun-dried tomato and basil sauce with 1 shallot and a clove of garlic. Sweet potato gnocchi would also go good with some butter sage sauce or a light pesto. To start on our sauce though, we are going to begin by chopping our shallot up. I'm just roughly chopping it up. You do want to try and get it fine so that way there aren't any big hunks of onion in the sauce. And then I usually just run my knife over everything one more time like you saw there, just to break up any last little bits when I'm rough chopping. And once that's done, we're going to go ahead and saute that on medium-high heat with some extra virgin olive oil. And then once we have that bubbling away, we're going to take our garlic and do the same thing, just mincely chop it. And then I'm just ripping my sun-dried tomato up. You can chop it, but because mine were already in small bits, it just felt easier to rip it with my hand. And I'm just adding that into the pan, and I'm just going to mix it around with the onion and just kind of take any of that extra oil that's left in the pan and toss it. And then for this, I like stacking all of my basil on top of each other and then rolling it up so that when I slice it, I get these beautiful ribbons. You do want to make sure you break it apart with your hands because sometimes if your knife wasn't sharp enough, the ribbons might be a little stuck together. And I'm just going to take some of that basil and mix that into the pan with the rest of our sauce ingredients. And slowly mix that together. And at this point, your sweet potato should be just about done cooking, and you can go ahead and add it to your pan. You'll know that your sweet potato is done cooking when it floats in your boiling water. You can see that mine kind of stuck a little to the colander, and that's just because I let it sit a bit before adding it to my sauce. So if you are going to let it sit, I would just toss in some olive oil first so that way it doesn't stick together as much. Now, pan frying your gnocchi is not necessary. You can just serve it right out of the colander and toss with your favorite sauce, but it is highly recommended because when you pan fry it, you get a nice little crispy crust on the outside with a soft and pillowy inside, and I can't eat it another way. And once that's done, all you have to do is plate it up And be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments below how you would serve your sweet potato gnocchi and what you want me to make next. Bye!